Hello there.
Welcome back, my friend.
Hello, what have we here?
Jedi, we've been expecting you.
Knew I could count on you.
Hello.
Welcome to the rebellion.
What fun!
Hey everyone, Hybrid here, and today we're taking a look at a brand new Star Wars The Black Series figure from The Mandalorian and Grogu. This is one I know a lot of people are excited to get their hands on. It is the Imperial Remnant AT-AT driver. This is an upgrade to an older version of the AT-AT driver from The Empire Strikes Back, which came out in roughly 2016, or it might have been early 2017. A long time ago, red and black line. This figure is the Remnant version, so a couple parts are swapped, but it's got a lot of people thinking that they'll be unswapped and we might get an upgraded version sooner than later, and that would be very cool, I do agree. But this version does match what we've seen in the teasers for The Mandalorian and Grogu so far. It's a Remnant version, so he is extra grimy. He has been going through it. The Empire has not had the dry cleaning budget for the last couple of years. It's a figure that I'm very excited to dig into. So that said, let's go ahead and jump into an, as always, thorough review starting now. And here's the Remnant AT-AT driver in the packaging. I like to take a quick look at the packaging before opening them up for you inbox people. This Black Series packaging is very standard. Your Black Series logo above a big window showing him and his blaster off nicely. He's number 2 in the Mando and Grogu line. You can tell all this because their names and stuff are in that dark purpley blue they chose for the backdrop on this. Warning 4+ Hasbro. The side of the box features some really cool artwork of him standing there threatening to draw his name below that. This side features your wraparound window, your wraparound stripe, and your Black Series logo. Around back is a zoom in on that side art, a Black Series logo, his name, and a bio about the movie in 5 different languages. Pause and read whichever best applies to you. Number 2 in the line once more. Bunch of legal stuff and Disney and Hasbro logos, barcode, and more legal stuff down below, and a hanger tab on top. If you've seen one Black Series box, you've seen them all. The only thing they really change is the pictures of what's included. So that said, let's go ahead and get this guy out of the box and start looking at the exciting stuff. Here's our AT-AT pilot out of the packaging. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at his accessory first, being the Imperial pistol. We have seen this pistol used by many a character over the years. Officers and I think Death Troopers had them, and I think some pilots carry these. I don't think we've had them given to pilots in the line yet, but someday maybe. It's a familiar sculpt. We've had it before. They may have redone it for, sometimes, every time you get a Han Solo, there's a new mold of his gun, even though it's the same gun, but so maybe it's a retool. I don't know the mold definitively. But it's all in black plastic. It looks very, very nice. Has maybe just the tiniest bit of warpage on the scope there, but it's alright. He features a working hip holster where it stows away nicely. I think this guy is mostly going to be seen in the movie with it holstered, but he has a working trigger finger as well, so you can pose him up doing blaster stuff if you would like to do that ultimately. It is nice to have the option. But yeah, I think we're going to see these guys mostly just doing their driver roles. But standing them up, just initial impressions. This guy does look rather nice, doesn't he? I really like the subtle weathering to be found here. He is a little bit grimy, but not over the top grimy. Something that I have heard a lot of people complain about, however, I'm willing to explain it away because I like the figure, is like the weathering on the original Remnant Stormtrooper being super, super dirty. However, I will say these appear to be Remnant on a snow planet, where these guys were on a lava planet. There's a lot of like ash and muck and grime going on. So I'm willing to expect this Remnant to maybe be a little bit dirtier, all said. But the dirt is definitely there. The shoulder pads are strikingly clean. That might be a criticism against. Or maybe they found some new shoulder pads and said, replace them out. They're getting a little dingy. But the chest plate and the helmet feature some superior, subtle, just minor wash, in that yellowy brown, just to really break out the dirt. Although his back plate is clean, that might be a strike against it as well. But it's generally a very nice looking sculpt, especially that helmet. They've shrunk it down just a smidge. In the original trilogy version of the helmet, is literally just a Stormtrooper helmet with a Rebel helmet stuck on top of it, and then some generic bits and bobs put on the gaps to fill the voids. And it seems like they've just slightly streamlined it a little bit here, made it look a little bit more like one piece. and I'm completely fine with that. Has some nice bright red Imperial cogs on the forehead, some red on the like breathers on the front. And around back, he has those cylinders with the tubes that go to the chest box, allowing him to get oxygen or whatever, I guess, when he is flying vehicles, or in this case, walking vehicles. But working down from there, he has an all-gray jumpsuit. Not really a lot of wash on him. You know, you'd expect it to maybe be a little bit grimy, but it's fairly clean. The gloves have some really nice sculpted wrinkles on them, to the point where they're almost deep enough that I'm like, do they have a very subtle wash? But I don't think so. I think that is just a trick of the light. But, you know, that would be nice if they had done that. The belt is fairly clean as well. And just to bring in the original version of the figure, to look at some comparisons, and there's no reuse between these two. As far as I can tell, everything is new. This original one features things like the double pin knees, whereas this one does not. But the original version doesn't feature a belt. He does feature like the pilot straps that go down and loop around the legs, and this guy has forgone that in favor of having a belt with a holster. But everything else is very familiar, ultimately. They've shrunk down the chest box a little bit. They've given the tubes that kind of hang, whereas they just go straight up on this old version. And there's very little subtle things on this that I ultimately think I like on this new one more than the old one. However, I did recently review this old one about a year ago, and like as a throwback, because I think it does hold up. Like, I wasn't sitting here going like, I need a new AT-AT pilot. And if they had just decided to tweak this, I don't think anyone would have really been that up in arms. But there are some general improvements on this, and then the few inaccuracies make me think we're probably going to get a very clean one offered in Empire Strikes Back packaging, likely sooner than later. And that's really fun with some of these Mando and Grogu offerings, because they have done a lot of offering, you know, a new version of an old Stormtrooper, you know, but not quite in the original trilogy version. So I think we're about to see some new original trilogy versions, whether it might be maybe next year, 2027. You know, it's not just 50 years of A New Hope, it's 50 years of Star Wars. So maybe we'll get some new original trilogy troopers just to really upgrade some of those going on 10-year-old versions at that point. That'd be really nice. But other than that, you know, he doesn't quite have the moon boots either. These have like stripes, like straps on them. I guess they look like stripes when they're, you know, ran across like that. But otherwise, there's not a whole lot to say, because it is just a guy, you know, wearing a jumpsuit with a couple of armor pieces on the chest. You can see those really deep knee cuts there. I'm excited to articulate those. But yeah, he looks great. I mean, he looks the part, and just a very exciting looking figure. To run through some articulation, he's going to have good articulation because he's a guy in a bodysuit with very minor armor, and that's just how that generally goes. But that's how far back the head can go, and that's how far forward. And rotating it is a dream. Those hoses are very pliable, very, very nice. The arms can come up to a T-pose like so, and there's a pretty good deep butterfly joint in there. I love to see that. You got a 360-degree rotation at the shoulder. The shoulder pads are on those rings around the peg, so they can travel with it. You don't have to worry about damaging anything or them ever being in the way. The arms come up past 90 significantly and swivel at the elbow. And then there's a glove rotation. And then the hands are ball jointed, so you get every bit of range out of them you could ever ask for. He features a mid-upper torso ball joint. You see the seam in there. He can crunch that far forward, that far back. Not a ton, but it's where the armor is, so it makes sense. Get some rotation there, some pivot in there. Love to see it. He can do a pretty wide splits. He can kick his leg pretty straightforward. Not really back at all. There's a little bit of pivot on the ball joint in there, but no thigh cut, which I don't care about, because those knees, wow, that is a nice knee articulation. You can swivel at the knee, so it does kind of eliminate the need for a thigh cut. People are just hung up on it. And then there is a boot rotation, and then the ankles point pretty far down. You can force them that far forward, and there's forward-facing pin for rocker, allowing you to get them into some decently wide stances with both feet on the ground. Ultimately, I love the look of this guy. Here's our AT-AT pilot next to the other Remnant troopers and the Mando and Colonel Ward from the same wave. This is a very nice looking set when you get all the figures put together, and he is very much a great member of this whole wave. I mean, there's nothing really bad to say about this. This is a wave that is very exciting. They've put a lot of effort in. This is the initial offering to get people amped for the upcoming movie, and it has done a good job in doing so. This AT-AT pilot is a great addition to the the Remnant Imperial crew, and I look forward to fleshing that out as this movie's toys continue to come over the next months. So at the end of the day, what do I think of the new AT-AT driver? I love it. I think this is a solid upgrade to the original. However, it's not a replacement for the original because it's not a true Empire Strikes Back version. So you gotta leave that one on the Empire shelf for now, while this one's gonna be more of a Mandalorian shelf type of figure. But the bones are here. They've given us some really good parts here. I think they give you a new belt for that guy, or maybe they got to remold the abdomen because there's probably a groove under that belt that it rests in. So maybe they got to give you a new abdomen piece at that point and tweak a couple things and paint it differently. But I think ultimately we're probably getting a new AT-AT driver somewhere along the way, and I'm really excited about that because it is a really slept-on design. You only see them in Empire for like 2 or 3 seconds, you know. I think Commander Veers just like, move forward on the rebel base, and they're like, yes sir, and like that's it, you know. You see them cut to them for a second, but it's always been a design that I've been rather fond of, so I'm just glad to see it getting a little bit of love here, getting referenced in Mando and Grogu. That's just super fun as well. So I look forward to seeing these guys in the movie. I look forward to seeing this sculpt get reused for a new AT-AT driver, and that's really all I got to say on it. I'm just really amped on this guy. So I'm going to go work on something else now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I look forward to talking to you all in the comments. Make sure to leave a like, of course, comment if you feel like it, on this one, on the next one, on the last one, on any video you choose to watch of mine. I love interacting with y'all. So I'm going to go work on something else now. May the Force be with each and every one of you, and I hope you all have a great day.